Hello everyone again, this is Stuart Harrison, Watch My Next, and this is just going to be a quick video, a follow-up to the previous one about the White Horseman event, and I'm going to show you another article where the Lord led me to understand the timing of the White Horseman event, because a lot of you may have questions about that, and how I came to the conclusion that it was a 7-year event and when exactly it happened. So I'm going to read an article I wrote quite some time ago now. I haven't got the date of it exactly. Oh yeah, 15/07/19. That's UK calendar, not US. So the 15th of the 7th, 2019. All of my articles I write on a biblical basis. Of course, I wouldn't dare to write anything without it being seeking the truth from the Father, Creator Father, and waiting for its confirmation. So this was titled "Looking for the Timeline of the White Horse and Rider." I'll read out exactly what I wrote. Regarding my latest note and the opening of the first seal and the releasing of the White Horse, 4 horsemen in brackets, I am looking for events that took place, trying to pinpoint a timeline for when the seal was opened. I know the Syrian refugee crisis was Revelations 13, the beast that comes across the water onto land and in picture form of a leopard arriving on the beach. So the source of all that movement of people had to be looked at. I'll read Revelation 6:1-2 again. And I saw the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw and beheld a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow and a crown. Now the crown signifying royalty or a general. It was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now the bow held by the rider signifies warfare, but I find it interesting that it is not a sword, because the bow itself implies warfare from a distance. And not only that, but it hasn't got an arrow in his bow. So he's ready for warfare, it just hasn't been yet given the ammunition to fire the bow. So I've been looking for Syrian conflicts events that took place and their timeline. And this was from the Britannica.com/event/Syrian Civil War/Civil War. And it says, after a short ceasefire between Russian and Syrian government forces and the Western-backed rebels collapsed in September 2016, Russia and the Syrian government forces turned their focus to the rebel-held eastern part of Aleppo, unleashing a fierce bombing campaign. Russian and Syrian forces made no attempt to avoid causing civilian casualties in their efforts to subdue the rebels. That's pretty much unlike what Israel is doing to Gaza, isn't it? At least they're trying to save civilians somewhat. Anyway, subduing the rebels. Warplanes dropped indiscriminate munitions such as cluster bombs and incendiary bombs and targeted medical facilities, search and rescue teams and aid workers. Those actions were condemned by human rights groups, but they continued unabated until the rebels in Aleppo collapsed in December. And one thing the Lord led me to was that I'd forgotten in previous articles I'd wrote. It said, don't forget about this bit. Right at the beginning of the verse it says, as it opened the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. Now that's never been understood by Christianity until the Lord basically told me what it meant. So it means, as it were, which means it was just like, the noise of thunder was the unleashing of that fierce bombing campaign that began the en masse Syrian refugee crisis. And that was September 2016. Also interesting, actually, although you're related or not, who knows, with these satanic rituals that go on in certain times of the year and the certain calendar times. It was also in August 2016 that the satanic ritual took place in front of the Shiva statue at CERN. And that was a real ritual, not just people playing. Who plays dress up and kills people for a dress up play? That was real. And that has been passed off as staged humour event. Who ridiculous. Of course, everyone has black robes lying around for such tomfoolery and comes up with satanic ritual for sacrifice as a funny thing to do. And so that was the beginning. The opening of the first seal was the kick-off event that begins that 7-year period of the White Horseman of the Apocalypse. And yeah, so that was a very quick video basically telling you that. That's how I got the beginning of timeline of the White Horseman of the Apocalypse. And also it's interesting for me to note also that I also wrote articles because of my newfound ability to interpret prophecy. And my mind had been unlocked to these mysteries and things. I was also, about a week before Russia attacked Ukraine, I also wrote an article saying Russia is about to attack Ukraine, and this was based purely on the foot and the ferocious bear defending itself aggressively. So, and that's what it meant. Russia defended itself aggressively. So it defended its borders by making sure the nation next to it wasn't going to be a threat to it in the near future. So to defend itself, it had to attack, and it has to destroy the Ukrainian government, which had been taken over, let's face it, by CIA and CIA assets. I mean, we all know it's run by CIA in America and the cabal. So yeah, so it wasn't any surprise to me that I wrote an article a week before it happened. And I said, don't be surprised, Russia's going to attack someone very, very soon, and they'll all be shocked as to who it attacks. And I hadn't even bothered looking at the map or world events, so had I done that it would have been quite obvious that it was the Ukraine. But I knew Russia was going to make an attack very soon, and a week after I wrote that article, bam, they invaded the Ukraine. And also, through that date of September 2016, being the White Horseman of the Apocalypse, or the opening of the first seal, I also knew that it would be marked by all satanic writings, events, they all have things called markers. They call them markers in the satanic kingdom. Events and certain things, like even in the Bible, the 66 books attached to the Bible, the 13 books accredited to Paul. They're satanic markers. The fact that this is where they've had their influence. That's how they do it. So I knew also that in the few short weeks before the end of that 7-year period, I told all my family and anybody who cared to listen. A lot called me mad, of course, and looked at me with the disbelief of these people not in the know always react. It's not to be unexpected these days. And I also told them that a great event would take place to mark the end of the White Horseman of the Apocalypse event. And surely enough, after a long 7-year wait, it happened. And that was the Hamas attack on Israel. That was the marker of the end of the White Horseman event and the introduction of the Red Horseman. There's no time gap between the white and the red. It's just at the moment, before the red fully kicks off, it's got to warm up to that, and events have to be manufactured and orchestrated to make that happen. And when that happens, the White Horseman with the bow will be given his ammunition and then be able to fire his bow. So even though it's and all of these attacks, Red Horseman attacks, the war on the saints, will occur being orchestrated from a distance, hence the bow, the long distance warfare. Even though it will actually be performed by people on the ground, it will be orchestrated from a distance. Okay. That's it. That's that short video, and that's how I came to the conclusion of the timeline, purely through reading of prophecy and the interpretation of prophecy, and through communion with the Most High Creator. So, Yah bless truth seekers. This is Stuart Harrison, Watchman X, and the next video I do will be the Red Horseman of the Apocalypse. Okay, thank you very much. Speak to you soon.